Hi friends, we're dropping some coconuts here to make way for a new building site, and I wanted to show you my approach. Coconut trees are a good example because they grow fairly straight up, have these big heavy heads on them, so they are quite dangerous because they really come down with a lot of weight. But it's not too hard to drop them in the right direction because it seems to be easy to see what direction they're leaning in, unlike this big breadfruit with sprawling branches, a large canopy, where you've got to ascertain, where is the biggest part of the mass of the canopy of this tree leaning so you can safely drop it in that direction. Now back to these coconuts, that had a fence line on one side and a building site on the other side, so I'm glad we got them down to where we wanted them to be, as long as they had somewhat of a lean in that direction. And my basic approach to this cut, and maybe some pro tree loppers can leave some better hints in the comments, but I was front cutting it a third of the way in and then back cutting down, leaving a nice fat hinge of a few inches there. And that front cut basically wants to be a nice wide open mouth, and that determines the direction that the tree's going to fall. And then I'm back cutting, starting high and then working down basically to the bottom of that front cut, the bottom of the mouth, so that it meets up to form the hinge. Sorry folks, I actually need to point out that professional tree loppers actually usually tend to cut a straight horizontal back cut because that has less opportunity of ripping out backwards on you because it's pulling on the length of the tree fibers where they're strongest. And of course you can also put some wooden or some plastic wedges into that back cut to coax it in the right direction, and then it should snap on that hinge and fall with a satisfying crack right where you want it to go. The boys here are stacking these coconut logs together. We cut them to about 2.5 to 3 meters long because they are really heavy when wet. They're quite hard to move, but the boys are basically getting them ready to slab up. We're not going to waste this wood. Old coconut is pretty tough. It's very fibrous, so it doesn't sort of have the same grain as normal wood, but we're going to slab it up probably about 2 or 3 inches thick, and that will make for really good seats and benches around the school.
So we're trying to chop down this large breadfruit now. I've got one of the boys climbing up there in the tree, and he's basically fastening a rope. Also going to fasten it with a ratchet strap, so it's got a large rope and a ratchet strap, and those are going to fasten to this tree here on the other side of the road here, to the stump of the tree there, so that obviously it can't fall back. The majority of the mass of the branches of this tree are actually leaning over into our building site over there, and if we drop it over that direction, we'll have to cut the fence and wreck the fence, but we want to drop it basically out onto the road here, and then we can clear it easily without having to break the fence. But it's leaning basically in the opposite direction to what we want. It's not leaning so much as it's got all the heavy branches on the wrong side. That's what we're looking at. This tree has got most of the branches out here on this back side, but we want to fall the whole tree to fall over down onto the road here. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. It's pretty safe position. There's not really any people around. There are trucks that come on the road occasionally, but we're a remote island, so it's easy to regulate the traffic for safety. But we want to fall this tree without wrecking the fence behind it. There's quite a large canopy. It's an old breadfruit tree that isn't giving really, it's giving rotten fruit, and it's rotting itself a little bit, so it's time to come out, and that's going to be roughly right at the entrance to the new building that we're building here, which will be a store and an industrial, sort of like a building with industries for this little school, so that the school has an income and can bless the community with some good things that aren't usually available out here in this community. So let's see if we can drop this onto the road in a safe fashion. Yeah, hopefully we can do it safely.
Look at the sap on this breadfruit, guys. It's sticky white stuff. It looks like wood glue just flowing out there. We really had to look after the chainsaws and maintain them after this. So here is our big open wide mouth of a front cut. I'll clean that up just a little bit more, but basically I'm cutting in as much as I can, more like halfway into the tree, and opening that up so we can try and fall it in that direction. But we've got our work cut out for us, so to speak. We need to leave a hinge there as well, but it's not naturally going to want to hinge at that position because unlike the coconuts, it's not naturally leaning in this direction. And so yeah, this is going to be hard. We're starting the back cut now as we normally would, and we're going to need some wedges behind this back cut. And it's a bit tricky there because we've also got barbed wire just behind it. So my mate there is holding the barbed wire out of the way with a stick. So let's see how we go with her. So I'm trying to cut down as close to this front cut as possible and leave just a minimal small hinge here so that we can actually pull the tree over in the direction we need it. So we're hitting in the wedges into this back cut now to prevent it from falling backwards and to try and basically, to tilt it in the direction that we want it to fall. So these are going in pretty tight. This tree's already trying to go in the wrong direction on us. This is going to take a bit of wrangling. We've got our friend Jennery here helping us to sling another rope up into the tree so that we can have an extra pulling rope, and a team of these guys are going to basically help us to pull this tree in the right direction because tying it off just wasn't enough. Right, so this is the last of the back cut now, cutting right through to a minimum hinge so that it can move forward. And I also noticed that it's not lining up well with the bottom of the front cut, and so I'm cutting out more of this bottom here so that there's absolutely nothing obstructing it from tilting forward, and we're going to give it our best shot now. We're also going to be putting in some nice big plastic wedges, and this is our final go at trying to get it to fall down in the direction we want, down onto the road. So here we go.
Barbed wire's a little bit merciless, isn't it? Just scratches. Okay, but everyone, you ready?
Yes.
Go!
1, 2, 3, go! Pull!
Pull, sako! Mas lakam! Ayaw lang, chok bagan, chok hol!
Okay, 1, 2, 3, go! Pull!
Pull! Pull! Pen kamot!
So you can see here, we didn't have much of a hinge. We literally only left 2 to 3 inches of hinge there because we were literally pulling the tree over. We never have gotten it over only with hinges. We needed to rope it, ratchet it, and pull it with a team of guys. They kept it from falling in the wrong direction or the direction that it actually wanted to fall with all of its heavy branches on that side. We were worried because this has a lot of rot in the middle. Look at this, all of this rot. There's a lot of danger if it split at that rot and just jumped down onto us a good flatness and kill us in one quick blow. But luckily, it had a good solid base still. And we've got a truck coming now that's gonna really struggle to get through. We're gonna have to go and cut this apart because we've got a truck on the road. It's a little bit sappy, the breadfruit, as you can see, so that's not great for the saw. But thank God for, a safe tree felling. We're definitely not experts, we're just doing our best to do it safely here. So,
Thank you one
well,
time.
good effort, thank you everyone.
Right, so we quickly cleared the road there for that one truck that came at the wrong time just before we dropped the tree. We're also going to cut down this smaller tree across the road that we tied to. This is actually a nouse fruit, but the boys say it actually has some pretty small fruit that's not so great, and it's a bit close to the road, so we're just going to drop this now. You saw the big breadfruit smashed right into it, and we could save this tree, but it's not useful there, so close to the road, and it doesn't have great fruit. So there it goes, one more small tree, and then we'll chop it all up and clear the area. That's a satisfying day's work. Okay, that's pretty much it from me, guys. Thanks for following along and watching this little tree lopping adventure of ours. I hope you've gained something practical from it yourself, whether you're cutting down trees to make your own local timber to build some simple structures, or whether you're just dropping coconuts because you couldn't be bothered climbing them to get the green coconuts down for drinking, or whether you're clearing an area to do some building or landscaping or gardening. Please stay safe. And a couple of tips before I go. There's a good description here on this Farmcraft 101 channel on the video How to Chainsaw Like a Boss. This could save your life, where this guy is showing how to safely back away from a tree that you're cutting, and he's got a good little diagram here which basically shows the tree could obviously go forward where you're aiming it, it could jump left or right as it comes down to the ground, or it could go backwards. So he's showing that basically the safe way to back away from these trees as we're cutting them is to go at a 45 degree angle backwards. And so this diagram really shows that clearly, and I think he's an excellent example of this. If you look at his videos, they're fairly long, but they're excellent, got really good descriptions, and he is always well away from the tree before it's anywhere near coming down. So yeah, check that stuff out. I think this is a really good safe description. Also guys, it's a great idea to stack all of the logs as you cut the tree up onto the stump of the tree if you want to get rid of it, and when those logs dry you can then burn them and get that stump burning down into the ground and out of the way. Also guys, if you are dealing with a sticky gooey sap like we were here, our wedges pretty much look glued to the tree. You want to run your chainsaw through a drier or more fibrous wood afterwards to pull that sap off. Obviously coconut worked for us because it's so fibrous, and while we're talking about chainsaw maintenance, we want to thoroughly clean this afterwards. I used a water dispersant, so any sort of a penetrating oil spray like CRC or WD-40, get that on the chain and the bar, and you want to unbolt the bar off the chainsaw and get it in around that sprocket, all those moving parts. It's already clean here, but I'm just demonstrating it. You want to clean that up and maybe lubricate spray that as well, so that all of these parts don't get any gunky saps binding it up, and that it doesn't rust between uses. Another tip is that you really want to flip this bar every major use so that it wears evenly on the sprocket out on the tip. And so when you flip that bar, you've also got to flip the chain so the chain's going in the right direction again, and then you can bolt it all back together again. and adjust the chain again, and that chain basically wants to be adjusted up, ready for the next use. And so back off those bar nuts a little bit, and then you can adjust the chain with that chain tensioner screw, and you want it to get nice and firm but obviously move freely still. And then you can do up your bar nuts nice and tight, back off the tensioner screw a half turn, and that chain, you want it to be able to pull down off the bar and then snap right back, and then you're good to go. Okay friends, thanks heaps for watching. Keep your chainsaw sharp and keep your skills sharp as well, of course. All the best with your own timber adventures. We'll catch you next time. Cheerio.